Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by XCancer. Check them out at xcancer.com. First of all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. If you miss me, I've taken kind of a smidge of a break, but don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be interviewing head Nebraska football coach Matt Rhule. So do me a favor, smash that like button if you're excited about that interview. I'm looking forward to hearing what Coach Rhule has to say. Also, smash that like button if you think him and his staff did a pretty good job over the past few weeks putting this recruiting class together and holding it together and things of that nature. But this is my reaction to Nebraska's recruiting class on early signing day. Now, we're going to start with them Nebraska boys, and I don't want to hear people say, Nebraska kids do not view playing at Nebraska like they used to. Well, you're right. So we should just give up on recruiting. I mean, we shouldn't try to change their minds. You're right, but I don't buy into let's just give up on it. No, you start with them Nebraska boys, a 500-mile radius, and then you work out. And to be very, very clear, I'm not saying, and I take stars with a grain of salt, I always have, always will, but I'm not saying you take a 2-star Nebraska kid over a 4 or 5-star out-of-state kid, okay? I've had some people hit me up like, you just think we should take everybody from Nebraska. No, you got to be good at football first. I didn't know how to explain that, but I digress. All right, so let's start with the Nebraska kids. All right, there were 14 Nebraska kids, Nebraska boys in the state of Nebraska, that were rated a 3-star or higher, okay? Now, Nebraska got 8 of them. That's the most amount of Nebraska kids that have committed to the University of Nebraska to play football here in 25 years since 1998. Now, we got 3 of the top 5 kids from in-state. We got 4 of the top 8, 6 of the top 10, 8 of the top 14, as I mentioned. Okay, the number 1 overall commit recruit signee from the state of Nebraska. You may know his name, Malachi Coleman, 6'5", 196-pound, listed as an athlete 4-star. Now, it says he runs a 4.440, a 10.46 100-meter dash, and a 41.8 vertical jump. We'll find out how reliable those numbers are once he steps on campus, but that's what's listed right here, right now. Now, the number 2 recruit in the entire state is Gunnar Gochula. He's a 4-star offensive tackle out of Lincoln. I hope I did that name some correct service. I worked on it. 6'6", 290 pounds. Now, depending on which recruiting ranking service you looked at, because it varies across the board, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm sure you fine folks at home know. He's either a 3-star or a 4-star, or another recruiting service that I looked at didn't have him number 2. They had him number 6 in the state. I don't know, I digress. But the one I chose to look at, the recruiting service I chose to look at, had him number 2. So we got the top 2 in-state recruits in the state of Nebraska. Other guys that stand out to me, and all of them can earn their way. Let me be very, very clear. Maverick Noonan out of Omaha, former Husker great Danny Noonan's son. And also, all the way down at number 14, okay, kicker Tristan Alvana. Now, some places have him listed as a 5-star, some as a 3-star. I don't really give a hoot. All right, here's the deal. If you watch this kid in the state championship game, he made 5 field goals, 4 of them over 40 yards, including a game winner. If I remember correctly, I believe it was 46 yards. I could be wrong on that, but this is a guy who can possibly start for us right away. Okay, and that is something that would definitely help this team. Now, I got a few quotes from some coaches that I'd like to share with you fine folks at home throughout this day, throughout this early National Signing Day, which is just essentially National Signing Day almost nowadays. Now, and I quote, "There have been some other schools that have gotten in here and made some headway recruiting Nebraska. That's over. We're coming in now," end quote. Now, a special teams coordinator, Ed Foley. Now, I've got a few other things I want to read, a few other quotes that I want to read as well. Now, these first 4 are going to be via Evan Bland, okay, Omaha World-Herald. Now, this first one is Matt Rhule. And I quote, "I think it's my job to look at a player, not see what he is, but see what I think he can be," end quote. Also, Matt Rhule, and I quote, okay, I'm sorry, it's not a quote, but it's a headline that Mr. Evan Bland put out. Huskers coach Matt Rhule on the 2023 incoming O-line talent. Here's the quote, and I quote, "I'm excited about the offensive line. We want to build with guys who love Nebraska," end quote. All right. Rhule said staffers used to wonder what it would be like recruiting for a major football brand. They're liking the early results. And here's Rhule's quote. "We said, if we ever get a logo on our chest that speaks for itself, it could get ugly," end quote. And keep in mind, Baylor's a decent football school. Temple's been up and down, mostly down most of the time. So when you come in with the N on the chest, it may not mean what it did once upon a time. but it's still considered one of the 8 blue blood programs in America. If you've listened to my previous shows, I know this for a fact. Due to polls that are out there, I was somewhat surprised yet happy to see. So it's got to be easier to recruit now than it has been some of the places they've been before. Although Baylor is in Texas, although Waco, I've been there. I wouldn't go back. No disrespect, although I know it's not the most respectful thing, but it is what it is. All right. Rhule says he's enjoying the emoji. Oh, this is per his Twitter account. If you follow him on Twitter, Rhule says he's enjoying the emoji communication on social media. All right. Rhule said people are guessing what it is, talking about his tweets, his cryptic tweets, trying to figure out, and I'm enjoying it. So give him a follow on Twitter. He's kind of got this whole emoji cryptic tweet thing going on. It's kind of fun. In fact, Fred Hoiberg sent one out last night and even tagged Matt Rhule, says, am I doing this right? All right. This last Matt Rhule quote is actually via Sam McEwen from the Omaha World-Herald. Matt Rhule likes new defensive coordinator Tony White because he's creative. But Nebraska isn't necessarily going to run the 3-3-5 scheme. Nebraska will run what fits. Rhule tried to recruit for speed on D. All right, now let's get back to this class. Now, I looked at the Big Ten as a whole. All right, the Big Ten, as of right now, and let me be very, very clear. Things can change from the time I'm recording this video. All right, there's still a lot of day left. There's still players that could not commit, that could still commit, that could surprise us, that could flip, that could do whatever. Everything I'm saying is as of the time I'm recording this video, which is immediately following Matt Rhule's press conference. Okay. Now, when it comes to the Big Ten, Nebraska currently has the 5th ranked class in the Big Ten Conference. Number 1 is Ohio State, and they're number 5 in the country. Number 2 in the Big Ten is Penn State, then Michigan State. Number 4, Nebraska is number 5. Now, all 4 of those top 4 teams, those first 4 teams I listed, they're all from the frickin' East Division, but it is what it is. All right, we're number 1 in the Big Ten West. Iowa's number 2. Northwestern's number 3. I'm talking about current recruiting rankings for this class. Okay, this class cycle. Number 4 is Minnesota. Now, Wisconsin is number 5 in the Big Ten West. But if you dig a little bit deeper, Wisconsin's actually number 6. Illinois is number 5 in the Big Ten West. And overall in the Big Ten, Maryland and Rutgers are also ranked ahead of Wisconsin, even though they're in the East Division. Okay, and so that puts Wisconsin number 12 out of 14 teams when it comes to this recruiting cycle and the rankings in the Big Ten. Only Purdue and Indiana are lower than them. Right now, Wisconsin's also 62nd in the country. Okay, as far as national recruiting rankings. And just having some fun with national recruiting rankings, Colorado's currently 53rd in the country. I mean, I don't know. Deion's a good coach, but he better recruit better than that because that's his whole thing. But I digress. Yeah, I'm going to keep track of what Deion does. That guy's a celebrity amongst celebrities, and everything he does is going to be talked about a little bit more than everyone else. And I kind of think he likes it that way. That's kind of his thing. Hashtag primetime, hashtag Coach Prime, hashtag I'm coming. So that's kind of his deal. So I will keep an eye on my favorite player growing up, which was Deion Sanders, now that he's in Colorado. Now, when you look at the Big Ten Conference specifically, as a whole, how we compared nationally, and I got all these notes, that's why I'm looking down, so bear with me. All right, we only had one team in the top 10 nationally when it came to recruiting. It was Ohio State at number 5. This actually kind of concerns me for the Big Ten as a whole. Okay, 2 teams in the top 15. The other team was Penn State at number 13. Only 3 in the top 20, Michigan at number 18. Only 4 in the top 25, Michigan State at number 25. We had 10 teams in the top 50 nationally. Okay, 5 from the East Division, 5 from the West. But keep in mind, the top 4 are from the East Division, top 4 nationally ranked Big Ten teams when it comes to this recruiting cycle, early national signing day at the moment. Now, here's what I know. I know for a fact Matt Rhule is happy with what him and his staff have been able to do in a smaller staff in a short amount of time. Remember, we don't have all the assistant coaches here now, and obviously Matt Rhule hasn't been here for a long time. I know for a fact he's happy with what they've been able to do in a short amount of time with limited assistant coaches at this point. Now, they've had about 20 combined commitments, and I say about because this can change even since I record this video, but about 20 combined commitments via the transfer portal and high school level since coming to town, and about 10 commitments in the 2023 recruiting cycle in the past 6 days. Now, when you look at the class as a whole, there's 28 total individuals at this moment in time, 22 from via high school, 22 via the transfer portal. Now, all of the transfer portal guys, barring the long snapper, there's no recruiting rankings for long snappers. Maybe we can get that changed one day. But every single one of the other transfer portal guys, the other 5, were all 4 stars coming out of high school. Every single one of them. Okay, and we had guys transfer from Texas A&M, Baylor, Georgia Tech, and 3 from the University of Florida. Now you dive a little bit more in depth. We had 9 guys. We have 9 guys in this class from offense. Okay, 14 from defense, 3 that are listed as athletes, 2 on special teams. Now when you look at offense specifically, 2 of them are transfer portal individuals, 5 of them are skill players, and 4 offensive linemen. On defense, okay, we have 14 guys currently committed/signed to play for the defense, 3 via the transfer portal. 9 of them are what I call D-line/edge rushers, guys who are going to impact the trenches, and 5 what I classified as other positions, inside backers, DBs, secondary, and the like. All 3 of our quote-unquote listed athletes right now are all from high school, and our 2 special teams players are long snapper and a kicker. Now, out of the 28 commits, 13 are trenches and or edge rusher, guys who are going to impact the trenches type players, okay? You got to take into account we still have 3 guys listed as athletes. We got special teams included in this. That is nearly 50%, 46% of the guys that are in this current class, okay, these commits/signees are going to impact the trenches. That's a very good percentage. Matt Rhule clearly wants to win in the trenches. Now, when you look overall, okay, nationally, so to speak, all right, Nebraska, it went back and forth all day long. Nebraska is either 27th or 28th in the country. Again, it depends on which recruiting ranking service you're looking at as well. Okay, and I got to be honest. One of my concerns, and obviously there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on with Mickey Joseph at this point in time. That's not the point of this. But during the season, I was like, man, if we wait to the last minute to hire another coach and it's not Mickey, a lot of the guys might transfer out from this that are on the team now. A lot of the guys he's recruited might not stay. A lot of the guys that have committed might not stay. A lot of the guys he's recruited might go elsewhere. I thought Matt Rhule did a really good job and his staff of holding this class together and doing a good job of keeping as many guys in the locker room as you could reasonably expect. Okay. Now, out of the 22 high school kids, all right, there were 4 or 3, again, depending on the recruiting ranking service you look at, 4 stars. Okay, 18 3-stars. And again, 5 of the 6 transfer portal guys were 4 stars coming out of high school. So that means we have, okay, and keep in mind, when guys transfer, there's usually a reason that they transfer, to be fair. But 9 of the 28 players, and we'll say 27, all due respect to long snappers, there's just no recruiting rankings for them. So 9 of the 27 guys who can be ranked when it comes to recruiting rankings were 4 stars at one point. That's 33% of the team, and that's 18 3-stars. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Anybody who's watched me before knows that I take recruiting rankings with a grain of salt. I myself was barely a 3-star. However they grade it all out, I was like a sliver away from being a 2-star. Okay, I've always said recruiting matters. There's no doubt about it. It matters. Look at the teams in the CFP. Also, development matters because every year we out-recruit every team in the Big Ten West, yet we know how that goes. So it's got to be a combination. Okay, hopefully Matt Rhule can find that combination. I do, recruiting rankings matter, but I take them with a grain of salt. Okay, it's not who you are when you walk through the door, it's what you do once you're in the building that matters the most, especially in this day and age of the transfer portal. Now, here's some specific players to keep your eye on. Malachi Coleman, Jeff Sims, the Georgia Tech quarterback transfer, Eric Fields, who had 180 tackles last football season. All right, Corey Collier, who's a defensive back transfer, Riley Van Poppel, who plays on the defensive line, explosive edge rusher Prince Will. I'm not even going to try to say his last name because I don't want to butcher it. I want to show respect. His last name starts with a U. Keep your eye on him. Maverick Noonan, Dylan Rogers, he's a high school kid, but he already looks like a grown man. All right. Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. I've had a bit of a break, so I was excited to do this show. Plus, I love talking Husker football, and I feel like Matt Rhule and the staff did a pretty good job. Now they got to develop these guys. Come out in the comment below. Let me know who excites you the most from this class. Let me know, did we appropriately address the offensive line issues? Also, what grade would you give this class so far on early national signing day? Tune in tomorrow for that interview with Matt Rhule. And sign up and never miss anything at adamcarriker.com. Get on our emailing list. Until next time, go Big Red. And always remember, throw the bones. This show is brought to you by XCancer. Join the fight at XCancerStore.com and support your loved ones, your neighbors, and cancer fighters all over the world and help them gain access to revolutionary treatments. XCancerStore.com has a wide variety of t-shirts and merchandise supporting a wide variety of cancer battles so you can show off the colors that matter. Proceeds from each purchase not only help those at home, but also cancer fighters in Tanzania, Africa. Check them out at XCancerStore.com.